June 17, 2010, South Los Angeles. The sudden death of a well-known pizzeria owner during his evening shift raised immediate red flags. While the initial report pointed to a heart attack, veteran homicide investigator Detective Camille Harris wasn't convinced. Back in March 2010, DeShawn Walker, a 35-year-old pizza chef, owned and ran Walker's Gourmet Pies, located at 4234 Weston Avenue. Born in the Bronx to second-generation Caribbean parents, Sean moved to Los Angeles in 2000 with just $5,000 and his grandmother's treasured pizza recipes. Through grit and culinary excellence, he transformed a struggling corner shop into a thriving eatery known for its rich flavors and inviting atmosphere. His signature dish, the Sunset Supreme Pizza, topped with caramelized onions, smoked mozzarella, and a secret sauce, gained a loyal following citywide. The business pulled in $400,000 annually, modest but steady, which allowed him to employ 5 workers and live comfortably. His commitment to quality and service earned him local news features and a faithful customer base. Sean's wife, Brianna Walker née Whitaker, 34, stood in sharp contrast to his grounded nature. A former runway model with a history in New York and Paris, Brianna's career had ended in 2008 due to a knee injury. She met Sean during a catering event in early 2009, and within 6 months, they were married, a whirlwind romance that drew suspicion from his closest friends. Brianna's taste for luxury far exceeded the restaurant's earnings. Bank statements later revealed she regularly racked up monthly credit card bills averaging $122,000, indulging in high-end fashion, spa visits, and social events. Ever hopeful, Sean increases hours, often working from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., 6 days a week, to accommodate her lifestyle. What Sean didn't know was that Brianna had quietly rekindled a relationship with Dorian Dre Carter, 38, the owner of the Velvet Lounge on Sunset Boulevard. Dre, with a record that included 3 arrests for fraud and suspected drug affiliations, ran his club as a cover for illicit operations. According to club security, Brianna had been visiting regularly since January 2010, 3 months before Sean's untimely death. On March 15, 2010, Brianna persuaded Sean to purchase a $100,000 life insurance policy from Pacific Life, citing concerns about their financial future and the stability of the business. The policy included a double indemnity clause in case of accidental death. Trusting her business instincts, Sean signed off without hesitation. Then came June 17th. During the busy dinner rush at Walker's Gourmet Pies, around 6:45 p.m., Sean suddenly collapsed while preparing orders in the kitchen. Despite CPR from staff and quick action from nearby customers with medical training, followed by paramedics arriving within 12 minutes, he was declared dead at 7:23 p.m. The EMTs initially labeled the cause of death as cardiac arrest. There were no visible signs of foul play. Just 2 days later, Brianna Walker walked into the Pacific Life office on Wilshire Boulevard to file a claim on her husband's policy. Michael Donovan, a 30-year veteran insurance agent, immediately felt something was off. A newly issued policy, the deceased's young age, and Brianna's composed, almost attached, demeanor during the filing process. It all raised red flags. Donovan later noted she seemed more interested in how fast the payout would be processed than in mourning her husband. Following company protocol, he contacted LAPD's Homicide Division. Detective Harris, a 42-year-old investigator with 15 years of experience and a remarkable 92% case closure rate, took the case. Her first steps included reviewing the coroner's preliminary findings, which showed no signs of physical trauma or prior conditions to explain a heart attack in a healthy 35-year-old man. Her initial interviews led her to the restaurant. Jasmine Lee, 29, the sous chef and an employee of 5 years, provided key insight. According to Jasmine, Sean arrived that morning as usual at 6 a.m., made dough, prepared sauces, and performed his regular quality check, which included tasting a slice of Sunset Supreme about 15 minutes before he collapsed. He'd been upbeat, talking about expanding the business, and even hinting he might finally share his secret sauce recipe with her. Jasmine also noted a rare occurrence that day. Brianna had shown up at the restaurant. She never came by, Jasmine said in her official statement. She always said the kitchen smells would ruin her designer clothes. But on that day, Brianna spent roughly 15 minutes in the back, especially near the prep station, supposedly to drop off a surprise gift for her husband. Security footage confirmed her presence in the kitchen during that time. The investigation escalated sharply when Dr. Ronald Chon, the Los Angeles County Chief Medical Examiner, returned toxicology results. Chon had been poisoned with ricin, a highly lethal compound derived from castor beans, known to cause rapid organ failure and death within 36 to 72 hours. The report stated that the poison had been carefully extracted, indicating someone with chemical knowledge or access to such resources. The toxin had only been discovered thanks to James Morton, a sharp-eyed lab tech who noticed abnormal cell damage patterns during routine testing. Standard panels wouldn't have detected the toxin unless someone had known exactly what to look for. The levels in Sean's body pointed to ingestion 1 to 2 hours before death, aligning perfectly with the timing of him eating that final slice. Following these findings, Harris reclassified the case as a homicide and shut down the restaurant as a crime scene. Full forensic analysis of the kitchen was ordered. The insurance payout was frozen pending the outcome of the investigation. Forensics teams collected samples from every surface, ingredient, and utensil. The discovery of ricin opened up a broader investigation, triggering collaboration with the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. Since ricin is classified as a potential bioterrorism agent, the careful planning and execution suggested this was no impulsive act. It was methodical and cold-blooded. Detective Harris built a task force that included toxicologists, cyber and financial analysts, and surveillance specialists. They began digging deep into the financial records of everyone connected to the pizzeria, especially Brianna and Dre Carter. Surveillance footage from surrounding businesses and traffic cameras were pulled to track every movement on June 17th. Witnesses and regulars described Sean as a generous, well-liked man with no known enemies. But Harris sensed something calculated in Brianna's interview responses. Her grief seemed rehearsed, her words too carefully selected. Combined with a hasty insurance claim and her uncharacteristic kitchen visit, Brianna became the prime suspect. The use of ricin as the murder weapon deeply unsettled law enforcement. Its presence signaled an advanced level of planning, a level of sophistication rarely seen in typical domestic homicide cases. A major breakthrough came through surveillance footage from nearby businesses surrounding the Velvet Lounge, the high-end nightclub on Sunset Boulevard owned by Dorian Dre Carter. The footage showed Brianna Walker visiting the establishment multiple times between January and June 2010, with an uptick in frequency in the weeks leading up to her husband's death. Carter, age 38, had a well-documented criminal history. FBI files noted 3 prior arrests, one for fraud in 1995, another for suspected drug distribution in 2000, and a third for illegal gambling operations in 2005. Although he had never been convicted of serious charges, he maintained close ties with several organized crime figures throughout Los Angeles. The club itself, launched in 2007, raised suspicions due to irregular financial activity, indicative of possible money laundering. Financial analysts uncovered a crucial link, a $2,000 withdrawal from Brianna and DeShawn's joint account on June 15th, 2 days before his death. Investigators traced that exact amount to a deposit into the Velvet Lounge's business account on June 16th. When questioned, Carter initially claimed it was a payment for a private event, but club records held no evidence of any scheduled gathering. Security footage within the nightclub, obtained via warrant, showed repeated private encounters between Brianna and Carter in his office. One particular video, dated June 10th, captured an intense 45-minute conversation, during which Brianna handed Carter an envelope. The FBI brought in lip-reading experts to analyze the footage, but most of the dialogue remained unintelligible due to camera angles and audio limitations. Detective Camille Harris conducted separate interviews with both suspects. During her interview at LAPD's Central Division, Brianna maintained the appearance of a grieving widow. She claimed her visits to the club were part of an effort to network within LA's entertainment industry. When confronted with the bank records and security footage, she insisted the money was tied to business opportunities, but couldn't provide any specifics. Carter's interview, held inside his nightclub, quickly revealed cracks in his story. He first downplayed the nature of their relationship, calling Brianna a regular customer. But when confronted with footage of their private meetings and the financial transaction, his composure faded. He became defensive and soon invoked his right to an attorney. Detective Harris's team found more financial connections. Brianna's visits often aligned with cash deposits made into Carter's personal account, deposits ranging from $500 to $1,500. Law enforcement intelligence further suggested that the Velvet Lounge served as a hub for illicit activities. A confidential informant reported regular drug exchanges and high-stakes gambling occurring in VIP areas. These operations connected Carter to individuals capable of obtaining restricted substances, possibly including the ricin used in DeShawn's murder. Compounding suspicions, Carter had recently faced financial setbacks. Tax filing showed a 40% decline in the club's legitimate income over the past year, despite Carter continuing to fund a lavish lifestyle, a Beverly Hills home, imported vehicles, designer clothes. The insurance payout on DeShawn's life presented a convenient solution to Carter's financial crisis. Then, the case took another decisive turn. Detective Harris traced the source of the ricin to Natural Oils and Herb Supply, a wholesale provider in Vernon, an industrial section on LA's outskirts. Company records showed a purchase of 5 pounds of castor beans, the raw source of ricin, on March 15th, registered under the name Sarah Johnson, along with documents for a cosmetics manufacturing business. Security footage from the warehouse told a different story. The purchaser was clearly Brianna Walker, disguised in jeans, a baseball cap, and large sunglasses. She arrived not in a Mercedes, but in a rented Honda Civic, a move clearly intended to obscure her identity. The rental car was linked to a Glendale agency where she had used a fake ID and paid in cash. Ramon Hernandez, the supplier's owner, later described the buyer as well-informed, presenting forged business licenses and cosmetic manufacturing permits. These documents were later traced back to the dark web, purchased for approximately $3,000. Detective Harris began to scrutinize Brianna's movements on June 17th, the day of DeShawn's death. Brianna claimed to have spent the afternoon shopping at high-end boutiques in Beverly Hills from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., but surveillance cameras from the listed stores showed no evidence she was there. Instead, cell tower data placed her phone in close proximity to Walker's Gourmet Pies at 5:15 p.m. phone. Records revealed 6 calls between her and Carter that day. The last one, a 12-minute conversation, took place just before she arrived at the pizzeria. When questioned about the calls, their explanations diverged again. Brianna claimed they were finalizing an event planning deal. Carter, on the other hand, said the calls were about promoting the nightclub. More weight was added to the case when Jasmine Lee submitted a supplementary statement. She remembered Brianna entering the kitchen around 5:15 p.m., carrying a Victoria's Secret shopping bag, and saying it was a surprise gift for DeShawn. She stayed near the prep station. "That's where we keep the dough," Jasmine said. "I was chopping vegetables, but I saw her fiddling with something near the bowl. She looked jumpy, like she didn't belong there." Jasmine also recalled Brianna placing what appeared to be a small perfume box on DeShawn's desk before leaving abruptly. Normally, she'd say goodbye to everyone. That day, she just disappeared. Forensic analysis confirmed trace levels of ricin on the prep table and in one of the dough mixing bowls. Investigators determined that the poison had been introduced into a batch used specifically for the Sunset Supreme pizza, the same one DeShawn personally taste-tested before every dinner shift. Security footage from a Shell gas station on Florence Avenue showed Brianna buying latex gloves and a small plastic container around 2:30 p.m. on the day of the murder. These items were later found in her car's trunk. The container tested positive for ricin residue, and the gloves had traces of both pizza dough and ricin. A forensic sweep of her seized laptop uncovered deleted search history on topics like ricin extraction, lethal dosage, and how to poison with castor beans, dating back to February. Encrypted messages were also recovered, discussing poison-making techniques with an unidentified contact. Detective Harris compiled a damning timeline that detailed months of planning. Brianna had studied her husband's habits, acquired the poison under false pretenses, and executed the plan during his most predictable daily routine. The pivotal moment in the investigation came during Harris's third interrogation of Dorian Carter at LAPD headquarters. After 4 hours of pressure and faced with mounting evidence, Carter's confident facade crumbled. In exchange for reduced charges, he confessed. He detailed his affair with Brianna Walker, their joint plan to murder DeShawn, and the motive behind it all. Carter revealed that Brianna Walker first approached him about killing DeShawn in April 2010 during a late-night meeting at the Velvet Lounge. During that conversation, she laid out her plan to cash in on DeShawn's life insurance policy. According to Carter's sworn statement, Brianna described her marriage as suffocating and unsustainable, lamenting that her husband's modest lifestyle held her back from the kind of life she believed she deserved. The $100,000 insurance payout, she argued, would give them the capital they needed to expand the nightclub and start a new life together. Carter explained that the $2,000 transfer was Brianna's way of binding him to the plan. She called it a down payment on our future, Carter stated in his recorded confession. At first, I thought she was just venting, but once the money hit my account, I realized she meant it. Carter claimed he tried to back away from the plot, but Brianna allegedly threatened to implicate him in other illegal dealings if he refused to cooperate. A forensic search of Brianna's Mercedes-Benz, conducted shortly after Carter's confession, uncovered crucial physical evidence. Hidden beneath the passenger seat were latex gloves and a small plastic container containing residue of ricin. The FBI lab in Quantico later confirmed the chemical composition matched the toxin found in DeShawn's body. Additional surveillance footage from a Shell gas station on Florence Avenue showed Brianna purchasing both items roughly 2 hours before her husband's collapse. When confronted with the mounting evidence during a formal interrogation, Brianna's composure shattered. Her once controlled demeanor gave way to erratic explanations and finger-pointing. She accused Carter of masterminding the entire plot, claiming he threatened to expose personal secrets from her past if she didn't comply. But her version of events didn't align with the physical evidence, nor with testimony from witnesses. Further digging into Brianna's background revealed a long-standing pattern of deceit. Interviews with former colleagues from her modeling days uncovered that much of her success had been exaggerated. The knee injury she claimed ended her career was actually a cover story. She had been dropped from her agency due to repeated substance abuse and unprofessional conduct. Investigators also discovered that Brianna tried to fabricate an alibi by creating a false timeline. She had convinced an employee at a boutique in Beverly Hills to lie to authorities and say she had been shopping there at the time of the murder. In return, Brianna promised the employee a cut of the insurance payout. That employee, facing charges for obstruction, ultimately cooperated with police. Carter's attorney negotiated a plea deal in exchange for full cooperation. Carter's testimony proved invaluable. He provided detailed information about Brianna's planning and execution, including audio recordings where she floated different ways to kill DeShawn before deciding poison would be the least detectable. Detective Harris's deeper investigation unearthed an even darker motive. Brianna had been planning to eliminate Carter after the insurance payout came through. Text messages recovered from a hidden second phone revealed plans to cut him out of the deal permanently. The trial of Brianna Walker and Dorian Carter began on January 10, 2011, at Los Angeles County Superior Court. Assistant District Attorney Leona Miller led the prosecution with a carefully structured case that highlighted the cold, calculated nature of DeShawn Walker's murder. The trial lasted 3 weeks and drew national media attention. News outlets covered the case daily, captivated by its blend of betrayal, greed, and murder. In her opening statement, ADA Miller painted a chilling portrait of premeditation. She presented a timeline beginning with a life insurance policy purchase, followed by Brianna's acquisition of castor beans and poison-making tools, and her coordination with Carter to carry out the plot. Financial records highlighted a series of suspicious cash withdrawals, including the key $2,000 payment, all orchestrated to avoid bank detection. Jasmine Lee's courtroom testimony proved especially powerful. She gave a vivid account of Brianna's strange behavior in the kitchen on the day of the murder. Security footage reinforced Jasmine's timeline, showing Brianna hovering near the prep station where the poison dough was prepared. The jury appeared visibly moved when Jasmine recounted DeShawn's joyful talk about expanding the restaurant, moments before his tragic death. The forensic evidence anchored the prosecution's argument. Dr. Sarah Stanford, a toxicologist with the FBI, testified in detail about the ricin samples taken from DeShawn's system, the mixing bowl, and Brianna's vehicle. She explained how the toxin had been professionally extracted and administered in a way that would delay symptoms until after ingestion, demonstrating strategic and lethal intent. The courtroom saw sparks fly when the defense teams took opposing approaches. Brianna's attorney, James Richardson, portrayed her as a manipulated woman, coerced into a deadly plot by an exploitive partner. Meanwhile, Carter's legal counsel, Michael Brooks, painted his client as an unwilling accessory, ensnared in a scheme he never fully supported. Digital forensics delivered the fatal blow to Brianna's defense. Expert witness Timothy Wong testified that deleted search history from Brianna's laptop included entries on ricin extraction, dosage levels, and undetectable poisons. Cell phone data revealed constant communication between Brianna and Carter in the days leading up to murder, contradicting both of their claims of minimal contact. On January 25th, the prosecution introduced its most damning piece of evidence: text messages from a second phone found in Brianna's safety deposit box. The messages showed communication with an unidentified accomplice, including one that read, "Once we get the payout, Dre becomes a liability. I've got a plan to handle it." Dated 2 days before DeShawn's murder. The jury deliberated for 48 hours. Brianna Walker was found guilty of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder for her plan to kill Carter. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, with an additional 25 years for conspiracy charges. Dorian Carter, due to his cooperation, received a reduced sentence of 20 years for conspiracy and being an accessory to murder. His testimony was pivotal in securing Brianna's conviction. The court ordered both defendants to pay restitution to DeShawn's estate. The discovery of Brianna's intent to murder Carter opened up a new front in the case. Prosecutors uncovered hints of a broader conspiracy involving a still unidentified third party, and an investigation into that accomplice remains active. Judge Richard Martinez, during sentencing, called the murder a calculated act of evil driven by greed and a complete disregard for human life. He emphasized the betrayal of using DeShawn's greatest passion, his pizzeria, as a very weapon that led to his death. Judge Martinez also publicly praised Detective Camille Harris and the prosecution team for their relentless pursuit of justice and their meticulous presentation of evidence that brought closure to a case steeped in betrayal. If this story moved you, there's so much more to uncover. Subscribe now to never miss the drama, the emotion, and the untold truths. Join the journey. Hit that button and be part of the next stories. This is Ruthless Realities. Until next time.